There you go. Oh, therapy army, let's be having you. Let's be having you, therapy army. Quarter sexuals, the 25%ers, the twerkers. Where are ya? Where are ya?
Where are ya? Where are ya?
Let's be having the 25% twerkers, man. Where are ya? Because your boys need to step up now. It's time to step up. Big up, Saeed. How you doing?
Yeah, man, all good, man, all good. You know what I mean? It's a nice, wonderful day in Manchester. You know what I mean? Can't complain. Yeah, been out and about. You know what I'm saying? Better watch out. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of traffic, though, man. What's wrong with people, man? Too many cars in Manchester nowadays, man. It's just really like, just makes it like, you know, man. Just everyone just get out of their cars and start walking, man. But yeah, other than that, can't complain. Everyone's talking about the watch along last night. You know what I mean? The madness, the Mateta comments, and just the general.
So you went to bed, mate.
I went to bed, man. That's why I just get rid of the sofa, man, so I don't fall asleep, man. You know what I
mean? Yo, it is what it is. Sport Witness bringing out quotes, man. Big up Khalid from Medin Lassie, Chief Editor United Real Therapy. Reminiscing Eric Ten Hag, journalist from the press conference. That's really not smart. The media, of course, have a right to ask questions. They also see what kind of results that he's been getting. So let me just get this. Man UFC to sell and fund recruitment drive this summer. They're looking for some players with 1 year left on their contract and free agent, such as Fulham, CBS tossing.
Wow.
Ooh, is that how we're moving now?
That's what we're doing now, man. You know what I mean? We're doing all of that free agents nonsense, yeah, and all that.
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't mind him, to be fair, but 1 year left on their contracts. Like, who's out there that's got 1 year left on his contract? Like, come on, man.
You know who that would come from? Is Blanc. Remember when Blanc? I think Blanc was there when they were giving out. Remember at Juventus, they were giving out. Remember Ramsey, 400 grand a week for Ramsey. Geez. Remember when he left the Arsenal?
Oh yeah.
They went around looking at players who had 1 year left on their contracts. So yeah, that's coming from our Blanc, one of our acting CEO as we speak right now. Our acting CEO for now. Is that how he's moving, Mr. Blanc?
Yeah, he's moving like that. Yeah,
that's how he's moving. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Therapy Army, smash a like on the video.
Yeah, smash a like, man. Smash a like.
We've just done a Straight Jacket podcast 289,
81. Yeah,
81. Sorry, 81. Yeah. Eric Ten Hag's expected to remain in charge for Sunday's game against Arsenal. It sounds like he will be at the helm for the rest of the season, which ends on the 25th of May.
More misery, man, Nurdin. No misery. More misery. That's what basically they're saying. More misery.
A dismissal of Eric Ten Hag 4 days before the end of the season would be counterproductive to eyes of Man UFC hierarchy who believe that such a decision would cause panic. Panic
FC.
We went past panic. Second game of the season, mate. Second game of the season. Third game of the season, we were already panicking. Because we saw the spaces. We were giving everybody, I swear, I'm not lying to you. We give everybody, you know what? Manchester United. Listen, Manchester United manager, Eric Ten Hag, is giving everybody a key to the pitch, mate. A key to Old Trafford, mate.
You say no.
Pitch.
Whenever.
There you go.
Let me know when you're free. Let me know when you're free.
That's what we are. I swear to God. You know when certain people like Ian Wright, now Ian Wright has got the freedom of the city, freedom of London. Eric Ten Hag has given every team freedom of Manchester United, mate, on a football pitch. That's what he's done.
He said, "Yo, open season, man. You go and do what you want to do. You go and play how you want to play. You go and do what you want to do, man. And then later on, I'll just say it's injuries why you won."
yo, check one of our best coaches, one of the best coaches.
Go on. I didn't read the comments, so go for it.
Yeah, who did a lot of one-to-one coaches. Big up, Tom. Get you in there. Ronald Mullison says, "Man, Manchester United, Eric Ten Hag, it's really incomprehensible what's happening now. There's simply no progress whatsoever. You know, as a new manager, you always have to deal with selection that you have not put together yourself. So it takes a few transfer periods before you get the players you want. I'm always saying manager needs time. I think he's saying he's going to say manager needs time or something like that. Manager needs 18 months to get on the right track. But now there is not one that is optimism left. There's no playing style. The club culture or philosophy, if you look at the statistics, it doesn't make any sense. Saeed, that is damning, you know. This is the
Bro,
guy
you know what?
successful
I'm glad he said that.
at Manchester United. Anything, Manchester United has goal different -3.
Yeah.
Whoa!
What is it, by the way? Have you noticed his Dutch compatriots don't really get? He doesn't really get along with them. You know, Schneider, all of these guys are Van Basten, all of these guys, even Stam. When I watched the interview, didn't really back him and said, "Yo, like they were like, yo, they were damning off Ten Hag, you know." So I don't know if they don't like his demeanor. I don't know if he thinks he's bigger than.
No, he's arrogant, bro. He's too arrogant.
He's arrogant, innit?
Too arrogant.
I've noticed that, man. So
Saeed, I said to you, I'll pull it on video. It's explaining to you. One of the most decorated, one of the most gifted athlete, technical footballers ever. Ballon d'Or winner is telling him there, you can't. And the guy, Saeed, that played in midfield, played at left
centre
winger,
forward,
right
you know,
winger, played every position on the football, just the goalkeeper. He's telling him, you can't do this. But this is from René Mullenstein. One, René Mullenstein, as a coach at Manchester United, has got a lot of credit and a lot of traction and being at Manchester United. Remember, this guy coached Welbeck. What's the guy we used to have in midfield? Remember when we beat
Cleverly. He's at Watford now, by the way. He's at Watford, by the way.
Listen, he had Cleverly, Gibbo, and these guys balling out. Remember? Gibson, mate, Gibbo.
We beat Tottenham 3-0. Remember we beat Tottenham 3-0 with Cleverly and them, man. Ryan Giggs in midfield, and we had Scholes playing as well. Bro, we beat them with that team. Danny Welbeck was just starting off as a youngster. Bro, we still beat them, you know. It's mad. That's why I'm like, excuses.
I just want to big up Khalees Wamanin Lassie for these comments on Chief of the United.
Come on, big up.
Big up to him. But Tom, how are you? International man of mystery. Double O Tom. You know what I mean?
Big up.
He's there. He's everywhere. Where are we tonight, Tommy?
Big up, lads. We're in the Steel City.
Hey, he's in the Steel, back on
the Steel City.
Hey,
come on.
Steel City.
Listen, but it shows you, hey, there's no steel to Manchester United, mate. We're rubber. We are rubber, mate. We're elastic bands, mate. Elastic band FC, bro. That's what we are. Talk to me, Tom. Talk to me. Yo, Musa, you just missed it, bro. We just read out the quotes. René Mullenstein went in on Erik Ten Hag. I just want to show you quickly. Just him saying, look, incomprehensible. Simply no progress whatsoever. Calling him out. Saying that 18 months, it takes 18 months to see things that you need to see. He said there are no optimism left. There's no playing style, no club culture or philosophy. He said that he can't believe that we got -3 goal difference, Musa. But this is it. But Tom, what do you make of those comments? I'll bring Musa in a minute.
Yeah. I think it's damning when you consider that René Mullenstein is a coach and what he's really won, in particular being a coach and worked with big game managers, that he's criticised Ten Hag to that degree. I mean, even you guys there said it about with, you know, his compatriots, like you said about with players like Jack Stamp and stuff. Van Persie was hesitant. He wanted Van Persie on the coaching team and he turned him down in the end. You had Louis van Gaal who gave him the whole charade of don't go to Manchester United, it'll ruin you and everything like that. And then you heard the rumours that come out afterwards, which was that Ten Hag, he wasn't bothered. He wanted to come to Manchester United regardless of whatever anybody said to him. I don't think he takes criticism or advice on well. That's just one thing that I would say. I think even when he doesn't. When you look at, you know, maybe the people that work internally at United from an analytical point of view, or you know, even just analysis, I don't think he'll look at that and with much joy and think, well, clearly there's a problem. We've got you've got a backline that's leaking goals constantly. You've got, what is it now, guys? -3 goal difference, and then you've got players who, some of them don't look like they even want to play for Man United, let alone play for the manager. Like, there's just low on confidence, low on esteem with the whole team. And at the end of the day, when you look at the manager, he doesn't exactly breathe confidence with some of the statements that he comes out with. But the only thing that guy is hiding behind is statistics. That's the only thing the guy has. And most of the statistics that he uses are based upon last year. You brought up yesterday, Nuruddin, about he tried to differentiate this season from the calendar year. Well, what the fucking hell does that mean? This calendar year, it's been a lot better than how all of last season was. Like, what the fuck does that mean? All we care about is what the full season tells us. For 38 games. Out of 38 games, we've not even finished the season. We've lost 13 of them. It's shocking. Chelsea have been shit all season. They're higher than us in the league position. So many teams this season, at the end of the day, have had better seasons than us, and they've even been shitter than us, and they're higher up the table. And this nostalgia around injuries and everything, listen, every team goes through a season and has fucking injuries. Every single team. Teams that have been challenging for the league title this season. I remember when Liverpool didn't have a fucking midfield a couple of weeks ago. I remember when they lost Alisson. Alisson's not been the goalkeeper for a couple of games. I don't hear Jurgen Klopp throwing up arms because he loses a game and blame it on injuries. But big managers have solutions to deal with problems that they have. You're not going to have a 30-man squad fully fit for a full year. It's very rare that that's going to happen. So what do? Fine, if you have to work with young players, that's fine. Come up with a solution. From game one till this point now, we've had the same problem. The midfield, there's no distance between the opposition midfielders and ours. They can't track players. Mateus Cunha on the first game of the season exposed that. He ran 40, 50 yards all the way up down.
Remember?
And what did we do about it, guys? We did fuck all about it.
No.
I don't even know what game we're on. Game week fucking 60, 70 of the season.
35,
and what do we still see? What did we see last night? Elise just ran straight through the midfield. There's no difference. He's not improved anything. And if we're looking at anything, guys, if I'm looking at a player like Elise that we're supposedly wanting to go and get, what the fuck does he want to come to this for? What do you want to come to this barnyard for? You're going to ruin your career, mate. Forget you ruin your Achilles at Man United and join the injury list. You'll ruin your career. It's a death warrant at this football club. And at the end of the day, we've all said it anyway. I don't see this guy staying here long term anyway. And to be honest with you, I don't even think he believes that he wants to be here. I don't think he wants to be here. Because if Bayern Munich offer him a job tomorrow for a fresh start, do you say no? Because you want to stay at Man United?
Yo,
nah.
Honestly, it's what it is. Honestly, Tom, I'm not lying to you. I was so shocked. I remember I ran up to Saeed after the game against Nottingham Forest. I was so shocked, that we were holding on against 10 men Nottingham Forest. Relegation fodder. Hold tight Rants, mate. Big up Rants.
Big up Rants, man.
But big up Rants. But I'm telling you now, I remember thinking they've got 10 men and we're holding on. And Onana's making saves. And they're like coming through us, battering us. And I'm just like, what is going on here? And the Wolves game, it's gonna, it's a certain games that will define a manager. That game defines Eric.
That first game.
First game. Because that night, the way that was robbery. That's what I was saying.
Robbery,
That was robbery. And you know what? There's so much more. Now, when everybody hears you're the thief, you're the one that robs people, people are going to be aware, people are going to be watching their backs. And now it's inspired that everybody understands how we're going to try to rob people. And that's what happens. But big up, man. Listen, big up Louis Lauer says, big up the realist panel on YouTube. Big up for the super chat, bro.
Big up, bro.
My guy just said here, this is the end. Hold your breath and count to 10. Yo.
Aye. Eric, 10 days, How many left the season? Is it 10 days left to the season finishes?
What's the day today? Yeah. Today's
12.
7 to 12 days.
What, 12 days?
Yeah,
25th, innit? Officially the 25th. So, but that's when the season ends. It's 25th officially. But, bro, it's a mad one what's happening in Manchester United. Big up Mina. Mina, I don't know if you've seen the Raylan Munestein quote.
No, what have I missed?
It's Raylan Munestein.
Yeah, read it again.
Basically, Raylan Munestein says it's incomprehensible. He said, after 18 months, you should be able to see what the managers try to do, what you try to do. He said, there's no style of play. He said, there's no optimism. And he said, there's no vision or philosophy. And he said, the idea that Manchester United are -3 in goal difference, it's unbelievable. And this is his own fellow countryman. And as a coach, right, who was successful at Manchester United. Me and Saeed, before you come on, we're talking about how cleverly Darren Gibson, these guys were balling out against City in the Charity Shield at Wembley. You know what I mean? Nani's goal is one of my favorite goals at Wembley, where it was all Wayne Rooney, one touch cleverly, Danny Welbeck, Nani, Rudy, one touch football, boom. And he's a specialized type of one-to-one developmental coach, yeah? Fergie actually gave him the reins to go coach. And then at the time, Manchester United started conceding goals, yeah?
Yep.
Because we were playing a bit open. But still, the football was scintillating.
Yep.
One touch football. He's come out and buried Ten Hag tonight. And that, to me, is quite damning. Because he's a coach. He is a coach, certified coach. He's coached Australia in the World Cup and all these different things. So he's a certified Dutch coach, and he's coming out saying that.
I think there's a difference between manager and coach. You know, I said this. Yes. I said this a while back. I said I think Ten Hag is a manager. I don't think he maybe he's not a coach, and this has proved it, because also I think he really wanted to have involvement in other things outside of the first team. I think when you come into the club, if you are the coach of the first team, then just do that. You don't need to have your fingers in every pie with everything that's going on at the club. You don't need to have involvement with the transfers. You don't need to have involvement with the pathway from academy to first team, which, by the way, he's been taking credit for. Manchester United historically has been a team that has a pathway from academy to first team. And now he's saying, oh, well, you know, I brought Garnacho in and I brought Kobbie Mainoo in. But I guarantee you, if Frankie de Jong didn't come to Manchester United, Kobbie Mainoo probably wouldn't have sniffed the chance in the first team. But again, I genuinely think Ten Hag I think he's like Unai Emery. I think he's like Unai Emery, not in the way that Unai Emery, what he's doing with Villa right now, but I think in the big clubs, it's not it. In the big club, it's not it. Where there's pressure, where there's demand. And I think the biggest issue with Ten Hag is the personality. And I hate to be that person, because I don't like to do that, to kind of criticize someone for their personality style. But as a manager, just in a workplace, you have to have a personality. Otherwise, you become a bit unlikable. You know, people feel like they can't resonate with you. I was talking to my friend who's an Arsenal fan, and he was talking about how when Arteta in his first 2 years, they weren't doing that great, but Arteta was taking acceptance for the problems. And he was saying, we're going to fix it, but he was like, it's not good enough, and I need to do better, and the players need to do better. Whereas Ten Hag is the complete opposite. Yesterday, after the game, you know, after Elise's goal, he basically was like, the youngsters need to do better. The young players on the pitch. I don't know what.
Seen that. Yeah. Seen that.
Muna, we're going to come to that, because he's throwing them under the bus where he should be protecting them at the least. But Musa, Ronnie Molenstein, you remember him. You know what he was, what kind of a coach he was at Manchester United. He literally worked with individual players to improve them. And for me, David Moyes made the biggest mistake when he got rid of him at Manchester United. The biggest mistake when he got rid of all of that backroom stuff.
He got I think Phil Neville, didn't he? He got Phil Neville in them, man. That was the issue as well. And then he started comparing all of them, man, like with Jaggy Elka and them, man. That was his issue. But, you know, tactically, he got to the quarterfinals of Champions League and that. Like, I know the season was bad, he was very, very bad in that. But, you know, he didn't even get that many players. He got 2 players in, Fellaini and and Juan Mata. Like, let's be honest. If there's anything that he didn't get really back, like I'm not saying I feel sorry for him because he was out of his depth here, but if anything, there's more sympathy needed for David Moyes than there is for Ten Hag. Yeah. Let's be 100%.
Real. Remember we were linked with Thiago. Remember we were linked 3 midfielders. Thiago, Fabregas, and Tony Cruz.
Oh my God.
Tony Cruz, go ahead, Musa.
He wanted those type of players though, but listen, you can tell, like, when everyone starts, you know, when you're getting beaten up, and even the local shopkeeper or someone, like, you know, an idiot gets involved and also gets kicking, you know you're in trouble, because Ten Hag's getting beaten up, and now he's got my man jumping in there and adding these 2 pence. You know that. Yeah, like, he's not going to last, man. He's not going to see this through. I'm just surprised that he's got this far and that the club are just willing to let him get to the FA Cup final and see that through. But I feel like when you start getting everyone and their flipping grandma commenting about Eric Ten Hag, it's mad. My mum don't even watch football, and she just messages me and says, "Right, is your manager still there?" It's like, I don't even want to respond to her messages. I just look at them and be like, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to respond to Mumsy. So it's a long day, man. It's a long day. And I just feel like Eric Ten Hag, this is going to continue until the end of the season. People are going to, all different type of ex-players, coaches, everyone's going to come out and they're going to have something to say about him. and I don't think it makes it better for the club as well. You know, there's all this, getting rid of him now is going to bring too much pressure on the club, or going to whatever, too much pressure.
I got a question for you.
Go on.
You know what? Because I got like friends in it, my friends' kids. Yeah, they're all like, Nuruddin, like, we can't take this. They said to me, bring Ollie back. At least Ollie, we scored goals.
Wow.
These are like 10-year-olds, you know. The 11-year-olds are like, bring Ollie back.
Disrespecting Ollie.
So this is the question for you. I'll start with you. This is the question for you, Musa, and we'll go around. Would you take Solskjaer into the remainder of the season? At least he's got Pep's number.
You know what it is? Bringing Ollie back, Bringing Ollie back would feel like. Games. Nah, but it would feel like it was always Ollie under.
You know the maddest thing, Ollie would do it. You know
feel
that
like he's just ripping off the Eric Ten Hag mask, and Ollie's there.
But you know that, Musa, that you know that Ollie would do it. That's the maddest thing about it. Because after being sacked and all emotion, like Ollie would come back to do the 4 games. But go ahead, Musa. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, my reception's playing up in it. Yeah, I just feel like bringing Ollie back would just I think at the end of Ollie's reign, it was madness. I couldn't deal with Ollie, man. I couldn't bring Ollie.
Listen, but Musa, it's 4 games. And you know one thing Ollie provides.
I don't know. What does Sai say? Sai keeps on saying bring Wayne Rooney in.
What's the point of bringing Rooney?
No, I said it, man. Wayne Rooney till the end of the season, man. Let's do it.
Listen. Wayne Rooney is busy playing with Gaff and Turf on PlayStation. He ain't got time to be coach of Manchester United.
I don't know, man. I can't lie, man. If you put him in the FA
Cup, Rooney, baby. Exposed.
But he's been exposed already. Anyway, he's not doing well anyway at thingy. So.
No, I don't know. No, genuinely, side, you know that, right? Let me to make the case. You know one thing Ollie's good at is feel good vibes, right? Straight away, the place will change, right? Like we saw, and we know that because we got the proof. We were there, we lived it. Ollie's at the wheel. Tell me how. We were there. We were all there jumping about. So one thing that's guaranteed, we know Ollie would come in. None of this gap business. They'll put. You know what I mean? He'll put Aaron Bissaka center off, say, Casemiro, you just stay there, pal. You just stay there, and I've got people around you. Don't worry, we're not leaving space around you. And we're all going to defend, and this is what we're going to play. So at least, honestly, if you see them, one of them got emotional yesterday. One of my friends' kids. You know what? It's not the United fans. Like, we can take it. We're adults. It's the young ones. The young ones, man, who are just on. You can't be consoling them. They're like, this is too painful to watch. Muna, are you having it or what?
No. You don't go back to an ex. It don't work like that.
Listen, X just for 4 games.
It don't work like that.
Listen, X for the weekend away.
Nah, because then you're getting into.
Nah, you know what happens? He wins
holiday romance.
Ollie will come in, win 3 Premier League games, win the FA Cup, and he's getting a new contract.
I'm telling you, you know the fan base. I'm telling you now, the fan base would have him back. I'm telling you now, guys, the fan base would have Ollie back as manager. So we don't want. Listen, let him enjoy himself in Norway. You know what I mean? He did an interview. You know what I mean? It was toxic, man. He's a cult hero. Let's keep it as that, man. You know what I mean? I would have Van Persie to the end of the season. Yeah, I would.
No, you know something, guys? I'd go and get Van Nistelrooy. He's not in 4 games. He did a decent bit of business in
and then part of the coaching staff, maybe. You know, he could be part of the coaching staff. I don't know.
Not with fucking Eric Ten Hag.
Not with Eric Ten Hag. No.
Saeed, he'd show him up. All of these Dutch coaches that are coming out and making all these statements about him, you don't hear people rave about Ten Hag. I mean, even when you think about some of his players that he's coached in his career, have you ever really heard a lot of these players that he's brought with him, even to Man United, rave about him and say he's an amazing coach? I didn't. I didn't hear Onana say much about him before he brought him back. I've not heard Anthony really say much about him. The same can really be said for other players that he worked with at Ajax. Yeah. Daley Blind said that Louis van Gaal was the best coach he's ever worked with. Didn't even put Ten Hag's name even near a conversation about it. So when we even talk about credentials of other coaches out there who've actually achieved things in the game, What has Ten Hag really achieved? One of the main things that this guy has actually done in his career that's labelled as a success was he bottled it against Spurs in the semi-final. Yeah. That's one of the things that people come to all of us and say, oh, well, Ten Hag, he got to a Champions League semi-final, right? I can name loads of managers that got to Champions League semi-finals. Di Matteo won the whole fucking thing. Where's Di Matteo in football now? He's nowhere. He's nowhere near the elite level. Nowhere near the elite level of football.
Yeah.
And when you look at the pedigree of the other clubs around us and the managers that they have, you even look at, for Christ's sake, what Ancelotti's done with Real Madrid. Yeah. Many people thought he was going to go and piss off to Brazil or wherever he was going to go to. He's won consistent league titles. They're always a threat in the Champions League. That's what Man United should strive to be. Competitive in their own league, year in, year out, and also competitively in Europe. But the problem with us is we sit here and bleed on the seat now of, oh, well, if we get an interim in for 4 games, well, who do you go and get? And everybody will point towards, we'll go and get an ex-player or put, Wally Weir-Brolly in there with Steve McLaren at fucking Wembley. Nobody's going to get behind any of this BS.
Nope.
Listen, all I'm going to say, guys, Jim can talk a good game. He's run a fucking marathon around London and he still had breath to talk. Put Jim in the hot seat. Go and be the coach, Jim. You motivate the lads. Come on, it's your club now. It's your club. But the fact of that they have the audacity, guys, as a group, Ineos, that they can change every single position while the season's still ongoing right now, and at the end of the and we're near enough at the end of the season, and they still haven't removed the guy is laughable. It really is laughable. Even putting an interim guy, I don't care. Put Dodgy Dave in there with the fucking inhalers. I'm not bothered. Pedal the bikes.
Pedal, mate. Get them on the bikes, mate. Get them on the bikes. It's a big up. You know what? By Munich scouts watched that last night and they're like, Eric Ten Hag.
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah, they just said, yo, 4-0. We don't need them on that. He's scared.
You know what? They said 4-0 against actually a German type.
He's Austrian. He's Austrian.
It's Austrian, but listen, he plays a German way.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
High pressing, he plays a German way.
Of course, man. They're scouting. You're probably looking, yo, man got beat by that team. Yo, come on, man. They see
That's what we need, though, guys. Guys, if we're going to recruit a new manager, like before everybody gets on the go about Glasner, the only thing the guy's really done is he stabilised Frankfurt and he won the Europa League. He has got some credentials, but has his name ever been mentioned with big jobs at football clubs? When Spurs were looking for a manager, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he was out of work. He wasn't even linked to a job like that, where it's a big football club or a prestige. Even Liverpool now, when they were looking for a manager, when Klopp was actually resigned, I don't even think he took over at Palace. He's a manager who's won things in football, and he plays an attractive style, which is arguably, you would say, similar to what Klopp did at Liverpool. But he didn't get recognised to be one of their candidates for that football club. But he's gone in at such as Palace, and he's found and he's identified his key players in the team, and he just puts them in the best areas where the weaknesses of the opposition are. You look at Man United, the weakness of the opposition in our team is the midfield. We get run through far too easy. So what do? You put either or of your 2 trickiest players who can dribble with the ball and have that bit of flair to get away from players and just say, forget the wide areas, run straight through the middle of them. And that's what Elise and Eze did to us. They took the piss out of us. They took the absolute piss out of us. And the fact of Man United fans, right, we're going to Selhurst Park and we're shitting his sends, thinking we're going to get hard done by 3 or 4 goals. It's terrible. It really is terrible. And when you even think about Manchester United, even if we're going to go off into the future now, we're hearing all this sort of shit that we're not going to be pushed around in the market for players, and we've got, leverage in terms of we're going to go for players on 1 year left contracts.
But Tom Murta and that said that. It's like
that's what I mean.
Murta said that we're not going to be pushed around.
The key thing, guys, of when we know if these guys are serious or not is who they bring in after Eric Ten Hag, and second of all, what they do with this group of players right now. Because if they're going to bring in a new manager and they're going to keep the exact same players and say, listen, have 12 months with them and see who you want to keep and get rid of, I'm not here for it. There needs to be a balancing act. Ten Hag can fucking go out the door and the players can go on the plane with him. I would send every single player that he has bought, every single one of them, on the plane back to fucking Amsterdam with him. I'd do it tomorrow because I can't name a player that he's actually signed in this team that's been majorly successful for us. And even if you look at the team now,
other than Martinez,
Martinez, fair enough, but he's not played enough Nuruddin for us. That's the problem. But that's not his fault. I don't blame Martinez for that. The only core group of players that we have right now that are giving us any sort of joy is young players. I hear Man United fans laughing or clapping, celebrating, as if when Kobe Mino does a little fucking ball roll or a ball shuffle. That's how low we're stooping right now as fans. That's our entertainment. But you see what you see with other teams in League. Palace, they play brilliant football. 4-0 against us, 5-0 against West Ham. They had the fucking doldrums with Roy Hodgson a couple of weeks ago. And now they've gone from that to this all of a sudden. But Ten Hag can't do it with arguably what a lot of people would say is better players. They're not better players. They're ego-driven players on big wages. That's it. But the way that you get rid of that is you get rid of these group of players out of the door. You bring in a new manager who can build with maybe.
No, we don't need a manager, Tom. We need a coach.
Well, we need a coach. Well, Ten Hag was this coach. You told me Nuruddin Ten Hag was this coach, man.
No, he's not. No, he's not, man. You know, he absolutely catfished us. It's the greatest catfish. You need to make a documentary.
Yeah, they need to, honestly, documentary.
How he catfished millions around the world. Millions. Me not gonna go to you. I don't know if I'm not had to chat to you about the quarter sexuals and the 25% twerkers. I don't know what you think about these people, but it's time for them to step up now. What they do, these decisions, the decisions that are coming after the 25th of May, which is the end of the season, are defining in Manchester United history. Because now we're in a new decade. Decade that was abysmal. We're in a new decade. They've taken over the steering wheel. You know what I mean? They've got the gear. They've got a couple of fingers on the gear stick. You know what I mean? They've closed the window partly, but the Glazers are sitting in the back. Glazers are everywhere in that car. So how do they navigate the next, for what is to be a crazy summer? 2 decisions to be made, right? And the players. But how do they do it?
They have to sack the manager firstly.
Yes,
they have, and the reason why I say that it's not because I hate saying that someone should be sacked from their job just in general. Yeah, I don't like to say that, but when Sir Jim Ratcliffe came in with his Jean-Claude Blanc alongside him, he had his CEO in mind. He had his director of recruitment in mind. He had his sporting director in mind, head of academy, Jason Wilcox. They're going after Dan Ashworth. There's no way you're telling me that you have all of those in mind, but you're still unsure about the manager that you want. They know who they want. They know the manager that they want, whether the manager's in a job right now or not, and they have to try poach him like they've been poaching other senior executives. But my stance has always been, if you're going to come in and clean up and start over, do it top to bottom. Do it top to bottom. Do it everything. And realistically, the easiest thing right now to do is to change the manager this summer. Also, they need to approach it quickly. I mean, bang, 25th May, FA Cup 26th May. Even I wouldn't let it get to then. I actually said that they should just get an interim for the last remaining games.
Exactly.
United actually have nothing to play for in Premier League. Honestly, nothing. Conference League is not something worth playing for.
Also, Minna, before I cut you off, like the feeling we had going into that final was a bit more excitement. Like
it was more positive.
Now, more positive. Like you know what? Let's do it now. Like,
everyone's dreading it now.
Everyone
is imagine that you're dreading a cup final at Wembley. What is that as a football fan? What is that as a Manchester United? Well, the bar is in hell. But I think they have to change the manager. Of course, players coming in and out will happen inevitably. That will always happen. That is not always as easy. But there's no one saying that both can't happen concurrently. And can I just say with Erik Ten Hag this season, I was saying it earlier on my stream today. I was saying it's like having a gun, and you know Russian roulette, you have one bullet in the gun. Ten Hag is spinning it and shooting Manchester United, and we are letting him keep shooting us until the actual bullet comes out and kills us. That's literally how I see this season. For me, I said it before on Saeed's stream, the Champions League was enough. That I saw enough in the Champions League. People said to me, be patient. People said to me, it's going to be difficult. It's our first time back in Champions League. New squad, new this, new that. No. For me, December, I was like, this is not acceptable. I was told to change my mind in February when we just about beat Luton and we just about beat Sheffield. And then we got our asses handed to us by Fulham. And then now the managers... Let's keep it a buck. I don't think I think it's very unfortunate for Erik Ten Hag, but I also think he has been a contributor to his downfall as well.
Yeah,
players have contributed to it 100%. We can say players down to yesterday. Casemiro looked like he didn't. Well, like Casemiro probably wanted to go to Fulham Road something to go and get a shawarma and just go chill on a Monday night. He looked like he didn't want to be there. He didn't look like he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there.
Yeah,
he did not want to be there.
No, neither. He wanted to save the shawarma. He wanted to chop it up for you.
There's that meme of him in that shawarma shop, man. It's crazy. But you know what's mad? Let's keep it a book here. How did he survive the 7-0, man? How did he get away with that?
No, because you know what?
Because he won the cup the week before. He won a cup the week before.
Oh, man.
Listen, new manager gets that bit. But honestly, Nina, you've literally hit it right on the head. To me, the players and the man, they have to. To me, I'm not bought into it because I'm the chairman of and the CEO and the director of Wait and CFC. I'm not giving nobody. I don't care what you've done. Other clubs, I don't care what your reputation is. You need to prove it to me that to me, that's what it is. For every player, for every coach, for every director.
You got to prove it, yeah. You got to prove it.
For every CEO, for every this, that's what it is for me. If you've done great other clubs, fantastic. You get a round of applause from me for that. After that, I don't care. What you do on Manchester United is what matters to me. But let me just get this super chat. Big up,
man.
Jim the Rat.
Everyone like the video as well.
Big up the Jim the Rat Judas. He said, the next manager is going to be a prayer. He says, no more mixed managers. Only pure recruiting from now on my favourite quarters. I have spoken. There you go. Wow. Jim's spoken. You've
got Jim the Rat Judas, you know. You've got people making accounts, you know. It's crazy, man. They've had enough.
No, I that's what I do. I coin terms, man. That's all I do here, man. But big up Monty says here, Shaw has missed 44% games 2004. Listen, the first year of that the leg break, I forgive him for that. The next 2 years, I forgive him for that because getting over a horrible leg break. But the last 5 years, I mean, I forgive nothing, mate. I told everybody before they got a contract. I said, I got the t-shirt. I've got the goggles. I've been to see the IMAX. I've seen this movie before in IMAX. I've seen it in 3D. I've gone to the stadium. I saw it in 2D. Shaw plays for the contract, gets the contract, and then the rest is Mackie D's, man. Let's get back to KFC. That's what it is. Mackie D's and KFC. That's what he's on. That is where he's at. Saeed, I want to ask you. You said to be open-minded when it comes to Jim and Ineos. So what are you expecting? What are you genuinely deep down expecting?
I can't lie, man.
How much are they going to get right?
Listen, they can do whatever they want. If this manager's here, mate, they're on fraud watch, mate. You know what I'm saying? That's bottom line, man. You can't do everything like Mina says here and then just keep the manager here. Like, if he doesn't align with your vision and your philosophy, you can't force something that's not there. You can't, like, square pegs in round holes, man. We can't do this. Like, everything has to be in alignment. And keeping Ten Hag for the sake of keeping Ten Hag because you haven't got a plan is a joke, you know? So I think Ineos, the structure, they're getting it right. But ultimately, though, you know, if you're keeping this manager here at the football club without having a plan for, even if you say, let's for example, like, what are you going to say to the fan base? Like, you need to come out and say, yo, we're giving him one more year as a kind of almost like, what's the word? Like, you know, just 1 year. And you say, right, if he doesn't successfully do it for him 1 year, he's getting sacked. Like, you have to come to that level. Even though I won't accept it, you have to come to that level. So I just look at it from a point of view. If they've got sacked manager, it makes sense. Fresh start. And then you can say, right, build. And then we could be like, you know what? Okay, Tuchel's going to have 1 year to implement his ideas across. We've got to be patient that 1 year. And then cool. Second year, we go into that one. So it's for me, it's a building progress. But
let me ask you a question quickly. Ask you a question quickly. Yeah, do you think it could be a financial thing that he ends up staying? Because obviously they'll have to pay him out to sack him, and then you know, if they're nabbing a manager that's already at another club, they have to pay a fee to that club. Do you think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and this new structure, they're happy because they're happy to pay Dan Ashworth's legal fees because he's taking Newcastle to court right now? Do you think they're more focused on investing in that aspect of the club before they turn their attention to the manager's situation? Because let's be honest, if they sack Ten Hag and say they go and get, I don't know, Ruben Amorim, for example, they'll have to sack Ten Hag, pay him, pay Sporting, and then pay Ruben Amorim. Of course, if it's Thomas Tuchel, different topic because he's going to be a free manager this season. Whereas they're happy to pay for the legal fees for Dan Ashworth to take Newcastle to court. Do you think for them that is more of a priority financially, and you can kind of see 1 year out with Ten Hag, because you've got Dan Ashworth in place, you've got Jason Wilcox in place, you've got Umar Barada in place as well?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, answer that.
Yeah, no, I just think for me, it's like you can't take that gamble. For me, that's the situation. You can't I just can't. You can't afford that risk with the fan base as well. You've got to get the trust of the fan base. If you don't have the trust of the fan base, like generally, you're screwed. Especially when you're 25% as well. If you were full owners, then everyone would be like, "Cool, it's their club," and well, it's not their club, but it's like they own the club. They can make decisions. But if you're 25%, everyone's gonna be like, you know what? These are just like the Glazers in it. Just milking a football club. You know what I mean? Yeah. They just want to do whatever they want to do, and they're not acting in footballing manner. Because if it was a football decision, Ten Hag should be sacked. You know, you're only keeping him. What ifs? It's a lot of ifs going on.
But financially, Saeed, it doesn't make sense, because if he doesn't get European football, they're gonna have lost a shit ton of money. Like Danny's.
So weren't that the problem they said though? Weren't that the situation that they said? They said that, you know what, we demand Champions League football. I'm sure that was a report at the start when they came in. So what's changed then? I don't understand what's changed.
Nothing has changed. So big up Danny, Devil in the Detail. Go and check out No Agenda podcast, YouTube. Did you know Manchester United FFP spending cap is higher if we don't qualify for any European competition? What you're seeing is what is called tanking in the NBA. Dangerous plan for Ineos, keeping Ten Hag in a job for this long. I can see this from their position, given the structure right. But if you can fire the senior staff and change the board numbers and make a decision, you can't make a decision on the manager. So then he tags Swiss Rumble here. Swiss Rumble has it here. Big up Swiss Rumble. He says, how much Man UFC's ability to spend affected by what position they finish in the Premier League? Before sales, the impact fairly significant. The below are very tough estimates, but it indicates how much the club could spend before any sales. The last part is the most important one, because with sales, the club's ability to spend on the FFP rules is significantly improved. So look, there we go. This is a rough estimate here. Outside Europe, there we go. This is where we are, people. This is where we are. This is where we are. And at the end of the day, for me, I'll answer Mina's question. Mina, that to me, it depends on two things. It depends on, if he forgets this, that he follows the club. The club goes, this is the style of play we want to play. If he abandons this massive gaps and he goes back to somewhere like what we were last year, right? Then I could see what the point that you're making, Mina. Because for one more year, sees out his contract, see you later. They don't have to pay in a compo. They don't have to pay a compo for the next manager. And the next manager they've already identified, it'll be less to pay for next summer. You know, the summer after, you know what I mean? And this year it's going to be a lot of disruptions already. It's the Euros, if I'm not mistaken. It's the Copa America. And we already know, you know, the players are going to have more extended time off. And then for them to come back in terms of the new season and the pre-season. And we're back in the US again, where we're going to be flying about from coast to coast.
Yeah,
so
again.
It makes sense in that sense. But if the fundamental thing is, does he abandon this shit show that what we're saying? That's the only way that I can see that. And I'm happy to take that if it means then you can get rid of players in that time and bring in the players that they want. So it's not his signings, the club signing players. I can give them that bit of leeway, but I'm not giving them any leeway. For me, they've come out here, they've given us nothing, Tom. Absolutely nothing but PR. PR. We're going to do this, Ineos, that. Now it's either that's how it is. Do it. Let's see the action or shut the hell up. Jim the Radcliffe has done more podcasts and interviews than we've had people who's supposedly once at this football club. So that just shows you. He's done more. Dan Ashworth is taking years like he's a player. Remember, we used to see this with players Manchester United signed. It took us a season and a half to get Sancho over the line. Remember? A year and a half.
Nuruddin, to be fair, with the Dan Ashworth thing, I think they've actually been quite smart with what they've done, because they look at it in terms of if you go through a legal process and you cover Dan Ashworth's legal fees for him, would it be cheaper to get him out, legally speaking, in a court of arbitration than actually pay the money that Newcastle wants?
Yeah.
I think it's something different. It's something that none of us have even heard of that you could even possibly do that. But he's not an employee of Newcastle anymore. He still has a contract with them. They're refusing to release him from the contract to let him move to another club without being paid off. But they're demanding ridiculous money for him. And, you know, it doesn't help Newcastle because they technically have somebody on the books that they have to pay, but they obviously can't.
Big up, guys,
employ. Yeah, big
love.
up Said anyway. Love, brother. They can't pay for the guy to stay on because he's not necessarily their employee, but they've still got to pay for him to be an employee of theirs. He's got a contract with them. It doesn't work for Manchester United because they don't get what they want, which is the guy to work for them. It also doesn't help Dan Ashworth because he's sat on his ass doing nothing. He can't have any. He supposedly can't have any communication with Manchester United. He's not allowed to have any sort of database links towards Newcastle and them as a football club anymore. But the damage is already done anyway. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe wanted to tomorrow, they could pay £6 to £8 million to get Dan Ashworth out of there tomorrow. But they're being smart in what they're doing. They're coming up with a solution to a problem. The problem is this same solution, you're not going to be able to use it whenever every single time you encounter a problem. I think he's grown quite smart with what he's done with the Ashworth thing, but he's not delivered him as quickly as I think a lot of us would have expected to have. If you knew in the first week when you negotiated that it was going to go tanking down and you weren't going to get Ashworth out of there for a while, you should have just gone straight on the defensive and said, fine, we'll take you to court, put an arbitration in there, Dan, we'll get you out of there as soon as we can. And they could have done that weeks ago and saved all of this time. But in the same case with us, where Ineos are saying that, you know, they've still got, let's look at it from this perspective with Ineos. They've got to make a decision on the manager. They're trying to appoint all these different people to roles. And when Barada starts in July, you'll have Wilcox, who's already here, who's manipulating the strings in the club. You're going to have Dan Ashworth come in. When these guys come in, they're probably going to want to bring people along with them, their own assistants or personal aides, whatever they want. They're going to probably want to bring more people in. So that's going to take up more resources and time. They've got to make a decision on the manager, as I've already said. They're wanting to build a new They don't know what they want to do with the stadium. They don't know if they want to build a new one, redevelop what they've got. They've said nothing about the women's team at all, if they're going to have a stadium in Manchester, or what they're going to do when they demolish Old Trafford. For me, I've made my feelings clear. I'd break down Old Trafford as it is, put it to a 20 capacity stadium and build a new one next door, and let the women's team have that and the youth team have that. Because the heritage of Manchester United teams should always play in Manchester, not in Leeds Sports Village. It's as simple as that. And the exact same thing what I say with the structure of Manchester United. If you want to get all these people in the roles, yeah, we'll give you time to get them into the roles, so long as you're not going to take the piss with us. And with Dan Ashworth now, listen, you could have got Dan Ashworth out there, I think reasonably. He's at a top Premier League football club. Maybe, 2 months? 2 months to get him out of there? Do all the legalities of it and get them out of there. I don't think it took us 2 months to get Wilcox, did it? When we approached Southampton.
No.
But they didn't even want to let him go at the time. So he resigned on them, and then they ended up paying a bit of compensation anyway. They come to an arrangement. But I just hope that when we go in for players in the summer, and if we do go in for a manager, like you said, Minna, if we go in for a manager who's currently in work right now, like if you went for Amarim, who's to say that it's not going to take this long to then get that manager out or get this player out of whatever football club? We're already on the defensive. You can't threaten a player or threaten a club with legal action. It's not going to work. It's a different jurisdiction. With a player, you have to convince them to come. Then you have to also wine and dine with the teams above them in terms of the director of football at that football club to then get them out there for what you believe is a good price.
Well, Tom,
but we're not in a good negotiating position at all. We're fucked financially. We've got a manager that, let's face fact, guys, nobody fucking wants here. We've got a group of players who we don't even. There's not even like a love. There's no connection to a lot of these players. There isn't.
Fraudsters.
The only connection we have to this football club right now, I would say, is maybe 3 young players: Garnacho, Hoyland, and fucking Kobe Mino. They're the only things that you can see.
Yeah,
as a
to be
future
fair,
of this
Diego
club.
Dalot has played well this season.
Yeah, Dalot's played well.
Dalot's played well this season. But Mina,
if a new manager comes in, and he believes that some of these players that we sort of hyping up like we did with Rashford.
No.
Years
They have
ago,
to go out.
Isn't going to be good enough for the long-term future of the club. Get rid of them. Get some good money for them while they got a bit of a future ahead of them. Whereas now you try and sell Casemiro, what are you going to get for the guy?
Point. Tom,
there's no point.
No point having all that football structure and keeping dead footballers at the football club. They have to get the players out before you even get a coach. Mina, I'm going to ask you while I got you here. Obviously, you cover the women's, what's happening with the women's team. Mina, please talk to us. Obviously, we're in a cup final against Spurs, if I'm not mistaken. But this season in the league, we have been absolutely disgraceful, right? Absolutely. Now the Scousers in the past couple of years, Scousers have nowhere finished above us in the league. And this season, they're threatening to finish above us. What's going on, Mina?
There's a lot going on. If you watch mainstream media, they attribute it all to, the Glazers are not backing the manager. They're not financially supporting the women's team. But the real fact is that Manchester United women spent the most money in the WSL in the summer transfer window, just under $1 million. We spent 300k on JC, Brazilian winger from Barcelona. That was a record fee from Barcelona. Barcelona have never received more than that for a player. We brought Tullis Joyce at the time for a record fee, 160k goalkeeper, meant to be Mary Earps' replacement. Hasn't started a WSL game yet. Players coming up to the end of their contracts. At the end of the season again, we're literally at the end of the season, and a lot of players are still expecting their contracts to run it down. There's been no talk about, Mary Earps, Lucia Garcia, important players in the team. Now that's just one little problem. Then there's the tactical side of it. Martin Ho, phenomenal tactician, I would say. I did an interview with him on my channel. If you don't want to check it out, you can. He's the former assistant coach at Manchester United last season, and a lot of our success last year tactically was attributed to him. He left, got a job as a manager in Norway, and Manchester United just went to shit from there. That and it goes back to the part about likability. The manager's personality is not likable to fans. I was at Chelsea away. There was people with Mark Skinner banners up. He was asked about it in the press conference, and he said, fans are entitled to their opinion. They pay money to see us. The next game again, they had their banners. Now suddenly the people in the club are coming over at pre-season, mid-season break games, asking them, take your banners down. Otherwise, you're going to be asked to leave the stadium. It's censorship if you criticize the manager. Then you have former players who have left. And Manchester United had the biggest number of players leaving last season, whether it was for sale or out on loan or their contracts ended. They had the biggest numbers of players leaving in the WSL. Nowhere near as half of that came in. But still, Manchester United spent. We hijacked Hinata Miyazawa. She was on her way to Liverpool. She just came back from the World Cup. She came back from the World Cup, Golden Boot winner, can't get a start in the team. Irene Guerrero won the World Cup with Spain in the summer. Comes to Manchester United, can't sniff a chance. Melvin Mallard, 4-time Champions League winner. Young player, amazing number 9. If she plays, she's being played out of position. And if she's not being played, well, that is what the story is half of the time during the season. And then there's, players who have left coming out and criticizing, Manchester United and the state of what they left the club in. They're criticizing the manager, they're criticizing the management as a whole. Ineos have now come in. The structure. Ineos have now come in. Polly Bancroft was the leader of she was like head of women's development. She stepped down. She's leaving on July 1st. There's no talk about who's coming in. As a result, because of that, the contract renewals is not happening. Emma Hayes, let me put this into context for you. Emma Hayes announced she was leaving Chelsea a couple of months ago. They're already in talks for her successor to come in. Players are already on the out from Chelsea, but they've already brought in the replacements because they knew who was going to leave in the summer transfer window. So what did they do? Over the summer and January, they were bringing in players that are going to replace the players that are leaving the following season. Manchester United are many, many steps behind. And you know what? It's a nice FA Cup final. It's a nice day out. The fans deserve it. And most importantly, the players deserve it. I really want them to win. And I'll be there at the game. Not because I think the manager deserves it. I don't think he's earned that. But I think the players deserve it for what they've done and what they've been through, and for the fans who travel up and down. Manchester United women have the most number away games on a Sunday night. Brighton, Spurs, They've had Chelsea on a Sunday evening. Only I think Arsenal away they had it on a Saturday midday kickoff.
Yeah.
The fans travel up and down the country just for Liverpool to do the first ever WSL double over Manchester United. They've never beaten Manchester United twice in a season. Never, ever.
There you go.
And that is the difference in Manchester United and Liverpool. Is Liverpool last year were struggling. Spurs last year were struggling. They now find themselves on level with us, despite the fact that we've had a 4-year head start before them.
Yeah.
That's the most embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. But I have some hope, but I don't have a lot of hope because I think this structure are going to prioritize the men's team. And Manchester United might fall behind, because right now it's Chelsea. They can't. We can't afford to. We can't afford to fall behind because other teams are coming up. Spurs are coming up. Liverpool are coming up. Villa was coming up last season. They struggled this year. I think it's similar to the men's team, but just for different reasons. I think is the manager. Cut the manager out of the picture, and you can fix everything else.
Yeah, I remember because I'm good friends with Natalie. Like, you know what I mean? He's been the way he's been for a long, long time. And when you got ex-players coming out, we covered it on this channel, actually, me and Tom specifically, covered it, Casey Stoney, what they did in lockdown, how they disrespected the women's team, and what she did. She was the only person in the last decade of a shit show of a club that can hold their head up high because she ended the season and she said, Tara, she's like, how dare you treat me and my players like this? And she headed out. So she gets the credit. But the idea that one of the most wanted striker in the women's game, we let her go for free, and we let all.
Oh, by the way, we offered her a contract the week before the final game of the season.
That's ridiculous.
That's when she got offered a new contract. But by then, her agent, who's her brother, had already been on talking terms with other clubs.
Yeah, and now she's at Arsenal balling out. She's at Arsenal balling out. Yeah. And the craziest thing for me, Max Skinner has to go. And it's fascinating that you say that it's almost like Louis Ferreira leaving Jose and we started to concede goals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how it's some of these coaches are really the people, the backbone behind these called managers. And Skinner for me, but it don't shock me one bit that the Glazers believe in censorship, silencing the fans. If the fans want to have a banner out saying manager out, that is part of football. What do you mean about you have to leave the
But don't you think it's funny how Manchester United have started doing this censorship, not just with fans, but even with like media, with Eric Ten Hag, how he's picking and choosing what journalists he's taking questions from, or what journalists are allowed access to press conference. It is censorship, and I think that shows the toxic environment that it's become. And that's what I'm saying. Strip it down from top to bottom.
This is it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is it. Listen. We could go on about here. Mina, tell people about your channel and wherever they can find you on social media as well.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, TikTok, all of that stuff. Mina Football. If you want Man United men and women's content, and you can find me on YouTube as well at Mina Football as well.
Yeah, listen, make sure you give Mina a follow. Hopefully, I'm going to be coming on Mina's channel. You just let me know when. Sometimes my life is hectic. You know what I mean? My life's hectic, but you just got to pin me down. But loads of love for coming on, sis. And thank you so much for giving us that insight. It's really appreciative. But honestly, I checked out because this season I've seen the shit football we playing, dead football. You know what? Last season, my escape was to go to the women's games and the youth
even
team.
That, you can't even get it. Maybe the youth team, yeah, but the women's team is not an escape. I swear to God, every time last season, the women's team played at Old Trafford. I was there, Mina. Record-breaking crowds were there. We got beat. I think it was in the derby. We got beat by City. Last season, we still played well. And last season, for me, one of my favorite games to watch was the FA Cup final against Chelsea, where we ripped them. We absolutely did everything but score. Everything but score that game. And then, obviously, the Australian striker gets one chance and that they win it. But I'm telling you, when we knocked them out this season, that made me... I celebrated beating Chelsea so much this season because I was like, that's sweet revenge. We get to a final again. But honestly, this Skinner guy and Ten Hag can both hold hands and ride out into the sunset. Good night, Vienna, to both, mate. I've had enough. I've had enough dead football, dead, depressing football, depressing the whole place. Nobody, likability is important. You have to be you have to back up. You have to be inspirational as a coach and a manager. You have to be these things, and they're not. They are not these things. So big up Mina.
Therapy Army, listen, there's been over 300 of you here in this space. So if you've not had even like 250 likes, then shame on you all. The channel is demonetized. It's shadow banned because we stand up for the views of the Palestinian people. And we stand up for everybody around the world who's oppressed, because that's what we do on this channel. We don't give two Fs. Big up to Eagle Eye Football is still dining out on United's 4-0 demolition by his boyhood team. Big up, Rich. Eagle Eye people, my love. So yeah, listen, your boys balled us out, bopped us for a minute. And the worst thing about it, they scored all different type of goals, all type of finishes. left foot, couple of left footers, bangers. You know what I mean? Set piece. Actually, all 4 goals were left footers. Oh my God! All 4 goals were left footers. Matete left foot finish. At least the 2 left foot finishes. Their wing back left foot finish. Oh my God! This is how it is. Big up, man. Big up to everybody. And make sure you check out Tom as well at Tom Journalist 1. Make sure you subscribe to Saeed TV. Saeed TV is going to be live with the Champions League on Saeed TV. Go and check out 281 Straight Jacket podcast after that, people. But love and light, people. Free Palestine, free Palestine, free the Congo, stop the genocide in bloody Sudan and the Tigray region. Hold tight all the people resisting in the Ogaden region as well. Love and light, people. Peace. We're out.